Well, once again, we've hit a bit of a wall. There's just not a lot of background information on this book. All I can really say is the premise is in the title.
Yes, Hockeypocalypse is about a post-nuclear war Canada where the remaining cities compete in hockey games over supplies. Most of the citizens have been mutated by the radioactive fallout, and the concepts themselves are virtually rule-free. Or to put it simply, there's a whole lot of fighting, tripping, cross-checking, etc., etc., etc.
Yes, this does in fact sound eerily similar to the Mutant League video game franchise. There are some differences, though, as Hockeypocalypse doesn't take place in a corporate dystopia, and Mutant League was caused by a toxic waste spill, not an atomic war. Anyway, is Hockeypocalypse a fun, lighthearted romp like The Day After, or a dreary, disheartening, depressing tale like Threads? The answer is Threads. It's always Threads. Here's Hockeypocalypse Volume 1, The Battle of Alberta.
The Edmonton Atomics are taking on the Banff Bears and marveling over the fact that the Earthside member of Banff's team is not a mutant but an actual bear that they've duct taped a hockey stick to. It really doesn't make that much of a difference as the Atomics win 4-0. The team then meets with team manager Lizzie to celebrate their fourth consecutive shutout and looking over their winnings, including some beer.
The Edmonton Atomics consist of super flexible goalie Stretch, team captain Scully, forward Squid, and enforcer Ugly Dave. I'm pretty sure the abilities of those last three are pretty self-explanatory in their names.
The team has been playing well at home, but Scully is itching to get the team out on the road. Unfortunately, they just don't have enough gas. However, new challengers arrive to challenge the Atomics the next day, after the hangover.
These are the Calgary Cataclysms, and they consist of team captain and forward Norm, fellow forward Krabs, enforcer Mittens, and goaltender Arms. Again, I'm pretty sure their abilities are all pretty self-explanatory.
The Atomics take the ice without even learning what their bet is, and they probably should have, as the Cataclysms get the jump, and it's only thanks to the efforts of Stretch that a goal isn't scored. It's short-lived, though, as Mittens fires a one-timer that quite literally goes through the goalie, and the Atomics cannot do anything to answer back thanks to the multi-armed goaltender. With that, the deluge begins as Stretch loses all his confidence, can't seem to stop anything, and Mittens knocks out Ugly Dave. When the final whistle blows, it's 4-0 Calgary. Making things worse, it turns out the Atomics bet pretty much everything.
Even the beer?
Now Edmonton only has a little over a month's of supplies left. Everyone but Scully is dejected, with the captain now being out for vengeance, wanting to defeat Calgary in Calgary. That being said, they're going to have to play some games in order to build up some inventory to bet. So it's on to Red Deer.
Red Deer is an actual town in Alberta located in between Edmonton and Calgary. It is located along the Red Deer River and the home of former NHLers Glenn and Blake Wesley, Randy Muller, Brian Salter, Mark Tinadori, as well as Hockey Night in Canada personality Ron MacLeod.
The team barely has enough supplies to get to Red Deer, and there's even less to bet. Still, Red Deer is willing to take up the challenge with their team consisting entirely of mutated caribou.
Okay, this is a strange point, because the comic says reindeer, which is actually the European term, but given the fact that everyone associated in this is in Canada, it should be caribou.
Adding to the problem is the fact that Stretch is still far shaken up due to the thrashing by Calgary. In particular, it's the slap shot that went completely through them, and this results in him giving up an early goal. Thankfully, Scully is able to alter the team's strategy just enough for Ugly Dave to actually get a goal and then immediately get into a fight afterwards. However, the distraction allows Squid to even things up. The joy is short-lived, though, as Squid soon finds himself the target of one of the caribou who drives him quite literally through the ice. That leaves Stretch alone on an island, forcing him to have to face his fears when a slap shot comes his way. With time running out, Scully realizes that the Red Deer's rink is a frozen lake, meaning that Squid is still alive underneath the ice and swimming near the Red Deer goaltender.
Remember, this is technically a nuclear wasteland, so the idea of a mutated squid person surviving in fresh water is plausible.
Squid manages to break apart the ice near the crease, causing the goalie to collapse and giving Scully an open shot just to score the game winner. Afterwards, Lizzie wants to hit up a few more towns and sharp supplies, but Scully is determined to face Calgary, citing the fact that the only way to keep their trauma from continuously dogging them is to face it.
Unlike Red Deer, Calgary actually plays in a real arena, not a frozen pond. In this case, it's the remains of the Saddle Dome, home of the Calgary Flames, and probably more well known as the home of the Calgary Hitmen of the Western Hockey League. A team that, because of their association with professional wrestling legend Bret the Hitman Hart, got the most ever exposure of a junior-level hockey team. That is, until the Saginaw Spirit named their mascot after Stephen Colbert.
The Atomics make their way to the Saddle Dome just in time to see the Cataclysms take down a team of anthropomorphized tigers from Medicine Hat. Lizzie begins haggling with the Calgary manager over the bet, which is then ruined when Scully barges in and stupidly just bets all of Edmonton's supplies. Suffice to say, Lizzie is not pleased despite Scully's claims that he actually has a plan. Should the team actually happen to lose, Lizzie will punch Scully so hard it will somehow reverse his mutation. Scully's insane bet does not help his team's anxiety either. Still, it's all up to Scully's plans, which basically includes going full Hanson Brothers on the Cataclysms.
The Hanson brothers are a trio of characters from the classic Paul Newman movie Slapshot. The Hansons help turn around the fortunes of the struggling Charleston Chiefs by constantly starting brawls on the ice. The most famous of which took place during the pre-game warm-ups, which in turn led to the ref reading the Hansons the Riot Act during the national anthem, which in turn brought about the most famous line from the movie.
I'm listening to a fucking song!
The Hansons have had an enduring impact on popular culture, perhaps most noteworthy being the inspiration for the original ECW incarnation of the Dudley Boys.
Calgary captain Norm is so shaken from the fighting that he allows Scully to score Edmonton's first goal. That being said, Calgary quickly recovers and takes the lead. They even have a chance to pretty much put things away, as Stretch needs to face down another 2,000 megachar slapshot from Mittens.
This is a reference to longtime NHL defenseman Zdeno Chara, who has starred for the Islanders, Capitals, Senators, and most famously the Boston Bruins. Now, Chara's slapshot has been measured at 108.8 miles per hour, meaning that the shot that terrified Stretch is approximately 217,600 miles per hour. Even in a nuclear apocalypse, I think that might actually be terminal velocity.
Stretch manages to stop the one-timer. Unfortunately, the rebound is just too big, and Calgary winds up scoring a goal. Scully then employs a new strategy by simply crashing the net with his teammates. It works, as Squid is able to equalize the game by redirecting a shot from Ugly Dave. However, this has the negative effect of upsetting mild-mannered Norm to the point that he winds up attacking Scully. This proves to be so much of a distraction, though, that Squid is allowed to easily skate down the ice and score with 12 seconds left. Stretch is then forced to stare down another slapshot from Mittens, which just bounces off the post, sealing the victory for Edmonton. Back in Red Deer, the Banff Bears have stopped off for a match because their bear competitor keeps eating the equipment. The game winds up getting called off when the Ursine takes a chomp out of one of the caribou, so instead they just give him some ham to hopefully tide him over.
And that concludes our look at Hockeypocalypse Volume 1, The Battle of Alberta. How was it? Well, I do really like the artwork in this, as I think it really lends to the humor in this story. There's a lot of really good jokes in here, particularly if you're a big hockey fan, and I think it's also pretty easy to jump into. Now, while it is easy to jump into, I do think that it's also a bit of a detraction, as at least the characters feeling a tiny bit underdeveloped. I mean, they're just kind of all basically stock tropes. There's the enforcer who's not very attractive, there's the one player who's actually pretty smart, and then there's the girl. Also, I don't think the setting of a post-apocalyptic wasteland is exactly utilized too well. Like, the idea of everything being radioactive should maybe play into this a little bit more, don't you think? I mean, everyone's walking around like it's fine and just dandy, when I don't think that would necessarily be the case a year after the war happened. But still, this is very enjoyable and very fun. I am going to give Hockeypocalypse Volume 1, The Battle of Alberta, a B. And with that, let's see what we're doing next time on the Random Trade Review.
Hey guys, if you want to request a trade to be put in the randomizer, aka the cardboard box, you can do so at my Patreon at patreon.com/sleepytime for cat productions. Also, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.